good evening to you all. This is the All Portable Discussion Zone, a bi-weekly live stream all about amateur radio portable ops. And my name is Charlie. Call sign is November Juliet 7 Victor. And we'll excuse the co-hosts today. Dan and Brian have not made it. Maybe they'll pop in a little late. Who knows with them? But I'm pleased to introduce to you tonight's guest, all the way from up north, I guess the northern part of Western United States, Allen KH7AL. Thanks for being here, Allen.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, and also a warm welcome to those of you who are watching in the chat room or who are listening later, either by podcast or by replay here on YouTube. Don't forget that this is a show that is converted to a podcast about 24 hours after the show is over. So maybe you want to check us out there if you can't do YouTube. First, let's get caught up and see what's going on, and then we'll dive right into the questions. So usually we go around the horn. We just kind of talk about what we've been up to the last few weeks. And to me, it's really not been that eventful, especially outside anyway. I had plans to go and do a summit that I haven't done before. It's called St. Clair's Peak up in just kind of about an hour north of me. It's just I think a 2-pointer or maybe a 4, not quite sure. But had plans to do that, and then something else came up, and I just decided not to go. But other than that, the week before that, I went out with Malin. We already know that because we had a show since then, and I visited with him, and we did a SOTA activation there up in Flagstaff. Malin went back to his hometown outside of Calgary, Canada, and so I think he's on his way. He drove all the way down here, so now that's dedication for Summits on the Air, because that's the only reason he came down here was for the Arizona Summits, so and to visit us, of course. So, but anyway, Alan, what have you been up to lately?
Yeah, trying to get up on as many summits as I can. I was out yesterday. Unlike Arizona, it's still it feels like a little bit of winter. So yeah, I was up on a summit yesterday, about 45 minutes to an hour away from my house here in Helena. And I got to the trailhead. It was a balmy 17 degrees, and got up to the top. I actually just made a quick video of that yesterday, just kind of highlighting that. And I remember looking down at my legs. I was tucked in at the summit. The wind was blowing a bit, so the temperature was, frostbite friendly there. My legs were shaking a bit, and I was like, I need to get up and move around. And I look over my water bottle, and it's had formed ice crystals in it. So, yeah, trying to stay warm until summer comes. That's what I've been up to.
Yeah, those winter up there and where you're at is it can be tough. I used to live up near there anyway in Wyoming. Yeah. So, yeah. Well, I did see that video, and you did some great photography work. I like the little. In fact, maybe I can pull that up. Why don't I do that? I'm going to pull that up and show everybody what I'm talking about, so they can take a look here. If I can, let me see here. I'm gonna have to lose something if I do, though. I don't want to do that. KH7. Well, AAL, right?
Yes.
Why do you have a KH7AL call sign?
Let's start with that. Great question. Yeah, it's not just to get on top of, through the pile up, I swear. Although it does help sometimes. But no, I was, oh goodness, I'm spilling water here. Trying to connect my internet up a little bit faster speed here. Yeah, so I was retired Air Force, 23 years, joined in 1997, bounced around most of the Western United States, including Alaska, and did a hardship tour of 4 years in Hawaii. While stationed there, I got the vanity call of KH7AL to go with Allen Le Vie. Nice. And who knows? I do plan to go back and visit, and long-term plans maybe to retire, or at least have some a more permanent place to go back to there, because we loved it so much. Yeah. Yeah, that's where I got the KH7 call.
That's cool. My wife and I, we've been to Hawaii twice, and we're going again a third time, and we have such strong feelings about how much we like it there. If there was a way for us to retire there, we would. And it's just, the weather's great, but it's just the people and just the atmosphere there. It's I don't know. I just can't explain it. We love it there.
Where did you visit? Which islands?
Well, we've done Kauai, and we've done Oahu, and we've done Maui. So that's 3 already. So yeah, we're going back for a 4th time now that I think of it.
Yeah, if you get a chance, I definitely recommend the Big Island. It's definitely got a more country feel, but I've only been to Oahu. So yeah. And Oahu and the Big Island.
Big Island. We've wanted to go to the Big Island. Maybe we'll make that our next goal. So cool. All right, I got this now. Let's take a look and see. Let me share the screen, and I will show folks what this is. All right, so take a look at that frost there you're talking about.
Yeah,
That
it's
looks
not just some ram icing. When I was driving up to the summit, I could see just a crest of fog over the summit.
everything's covered in frost.
And I was hoping there was a bit of inversion with the fog, but no, it was not much warmer.
Yeah, I didn't put any audio because I just didn't want to be a problem.
Yeah, wind noise. That's what I was
right
highlighting.
there. Look at that. That's what I like. That's good. That's good footage right there. Cool. All right, let me bring that back down. Good work on that. So, all right. So mostly you do summits. Do you do anything other than summits on the air before we?
Yeah. So my primary interest is summits on the air, and sometimes I forget about the rest of ham radio because I just obsess about it a little bit too much. I do like to chase, I guess, in ham radio context. I'm sitting in my garage right now that is unheated. So this is where my shack is. So I do a lot of mobile. And then I also have a remote setup to be able to run my 7300 from in the house or, through a computer, tablet, anywhere in the world. I like to do, I have an 891 mobile with the ATAS on the rig. So while I'm driving around Montana for work, I do like to chase summits and mostly parks because there seems to be a lot more of them on the air. And then I guess I dabble in POTA as far as activating. Sometimes I forget to post a spot on there, or I don't want to be there for 3 hours. So I will not post sometimes.
Yeah. I noticed that too. So two things. One, when it comes to doing SOTA activations, especially in Arizona, almost every summit, I'd say 80% of them are in some sort of a national forest. And of course, national forests are POTA. So, you get I don't hardly ever post or put an alert out for POTA because like you say, if you do, then you're going to have a pile up, which is great for sometimes if you have the time, but you'll have a pile up and you'll be there hours on it.
Yeah. Yesterday I did not have time or the clothing or a fire nearby to be able to maintain that for that long. So one of my best POTA activations as far as contacts go, I was on just a little 2-pointer here in Montana, and I was just struggling to get any SOTA contacts. So I'm like, okay, let me just post my POTA spot, and poof, 3 hours later, brain fog and all. I think it was like, I don't know, a couple, well over 100 contacts, which is a lot for me, and mostly CW. So definitely a mental marathon.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that question, so I'm glad you brought it up. I was wondering if you did Morse code because I was watching. I haven't caught a video of yours yet where you aren't doing Morse code. Mostly, you're doing sideband on these videos.
Yeah, so I've been studying Morse code since I got my license in 2011, and I think I just find the nostalgic part of CW very alluring and the efficiency. But what I'm noticing, I still bring the mic with me because I still like to try to get on sideband. I feel like SOTA sometimes is pushing people to just do CW. And so if you're trying to chase and just get familiar with summits on the air, it's sometimes hard to find a sideband, somebody to talk to. So I encourage everyone to learn CW because it's a great part of the hobby and makes activating and chasing a lot of fun. But I was looking at my stats today, and it's getting close to about 50% CW contacts from summits.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, you're right. It's I don't know. Yeah, most of the people do Morse code for summits on the air, much more than POTA. That's for sure. Parks on the air, and I don't know. It's just a culture thing, probably part of it, and part of it is just kind of a natural progression for a lot of people. Dan, my co-host, he's still trying to learn Morse code, and he'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
But some of my friends here in Arizona, some of the other summits on the air folks, will get on sideband, including myself, even though we prefer Morse code. So and that's the whole thing with the feeding of the chasers. And I'll refer you guys to a video and an article that was written by Whiskey 7 Delta, and many of us have been chased by Whiskey 7 Delta DJ over the years. He wrote a great article about the feeding and care of chasers, and I interviewed him, and he talked about it on one of my videos as well. And in essence, it is, if you are on a summit, sure, you could just get up there, get your 4 contacts, and go. But for me, if you stay up there longer, then you are encouraging the hobby and you're encouraging more people. And part of that is, not only switching bands, but also switching modes, like into sideband. And so it sounds like you do that too.
Yeah, I like to mix it up. I totally agree with that mindset where it's not about you. People are chasing you, or you're allowed to get your 4 because more people want to get in your logbook and get those points as they chase you. So I encourage you to bounce. Ideally I would work, like 40 meters CW and then jump over to sideband and then just kind of work through the piles that way.
So your normal operations, then how long do you stay on a summit usually?
That's a loaded question. I guess my marathon of, because I haven't reached 1,000 points yet. So I'm at like 850, just past 850, I think, on that summit yesterday, on my way to the goathood, so to speak, for summits on the air, over 11 years. This year will be 11 years on my trek towards that. So why is it taking me so long? Air Force, military took me, different places, training, and I have a family. They do still care to see me. So my weekends, my time's, like most people's, valuable. And my goal is to try to get 1 activation a month. So if I get 2, great. But I think I did 19 last year. So I shot low and aimed, hit high or something. So, I guess I'm trying to get out as much as I can. But when I get up to a summit, typically it's been a last minute, hey, honey, can I go for a hike tomorrow?
We've all done that.
Yeah. And so then I'll typically, on a Saturday, like yesterday, I got up at, before 6 to pack and get out of the house as quietly as I can, expedite to get up to the summit, get there safely, and make as many contacts as I can, and then get back, because I know the family probably wants me to do something. So part of doing some of the videos and photography is forcing myself to slow down. Like, hey, that's a good scene. Let me take a picture of that, and stop and smell the roses is part of why I'm exploring more of that.
Yeah, and that's an important part of SOTA. A lot of people, especially when they're in pursuit of their goat, will not do that. And I've been guilty of that on occasion as well. But I think for the most part, we all try to do that. Well, so this last activation you did, how long were you on the mountain for that one?
I was, time flies by. So I think I was up there by 8:30, and I headed down just after 10.
Okay, that's a good amount of time, actually. When I was right where you are, 800, 900, just about ready to get my mountain goat, I was hitting 2 or 3 summits each time I went out. I didn't go out every weekend, but every time I went out, just to make it efficient, because I travel a long way, and then do 2 or 3 in that area. I made it a goal to be on each band for at least 10 minutes, if not more. And then by the time you tear down and set up, and then are on 20, 30, and 40, that's about an hour usually right there, just for that. And that's just one mode. And so, with an hour and a half, you could probably switch it into do a few other modes as well. Did you use sideband on that last activation? Did you use CW at all?
Mostly CW. I tried 40 meters to try to get, because we have quite a few followers here in Montana, and try to work the guys out in Seattle, like Whiskey 7 Delta and the crew in Oregon on 40. And I got one contact, and that was Elliot down in San Francisco.
Oh yeah,
EL. So hold reliable there.
Yeah, he's always on a summit. I think he lives on top of a
pretty much
mountain that is a summit. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Well, so let me see. I wanted to show a video to everybody, share it with everybody. And this is a video of 10 years ago. It's you 10 years ago, and you were in Hawaii, and I really love this video. And so let me see if I can make sure I share the audio this time, and we'll get it popped up here. And yeah, starting right about here.
Oh, young man.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Okay, so those of you who are just listening, we've got Allen on top of a summit in Hawaii, and he looks 10 years younger. and he's got somebody that standing in front of him in a little shirt that's probably, I don't know, it looks like he's probably 3 or 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah, I think he's 2.5, 3 there. Yeah, my youngest.
There he is.
Mr. Trouble.
Yeah. So I like that because you took the family with you, and you can do this. Of course, obviously, you don't have to. You can't in some situations, but
Get some context.
so you got it set up, and you're getting ready to go. You just spotted yourself. And a little later on, right here, I love it. Look, you got there's 3 kids surrounding you, and one of them's on your lap watching you call CQ.
Excellent, great to hear, and thanks for the contact from Arkansas for my first contact up here on KH6OH. Yeah, the old boat anchor there.
Yeah. What is? Oh, that's one. I love that radio.
Yeah, it's a great radio. Not backpack friendly.
It's a Kenwood, right?
Yeah, 480 SAT.
Yeah. This is what we use in field day when we do field day. Brian, my friend Brian, owns one. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's I liked that video because you involved your family as much as you could in SOTA, and of course showed your wife in a certain point, and you were just hiking together, and you mentioned earlier that a lot of times you're not able to get out a lot unless your family's with you, or unless you sneak away a little bit, but yeah. Yeah. So I'm wondering, are they still going with you much? And
no. Yeah. You mentioned earlier about, looking at your time restrictions and trying to get a bag a couple peaks in one day. So I've done that a couple times, and me and topography maps, I get a little overzealous. I'm like, oh, look, it's only that far apart. I can go knock that out. But what reality is, there's a valley in between there and some deadfall and
yeah,
a big snowbank or something. And do that a couple times with my kids, and they're like, Dad, I don't want to go on that round trip hike with you anymore over 2 summits. So a lot of times I'm hiking by myself these days.
Yeah. When you hike by yourself, do you have anything to help in case you encounter problems? As far as
I'm always running APRS, and the family is always tracking that. So I just have it set to beacon every 10 minutes. So okay. If I were to fall down and I can't get up, at least I know where I was last at.
There you go. Cool. Well, piling on that a little bit, this Hawaii activation with your kids and family, I know that you do more to help the SOTA community, and I wanted to dive in a little bit more to that. Your channel, there's a guy by the name of Dick, ULM.
Yeah.
Yeah. He and I communicate with each other quite a bit. We're back and forth emails all the time. And he's the one that he says, hey, did you see this video? And I'm like, nah, I know who this guy is, but I haven't seen this video. And so I looked at it and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I ought to invite him. And Dick said, oh yeah, you ought to. He's a pretty good guy. So I saw you had a couple of people you interviewed, like we're doing now, on your channel. And so I wanted to give you an opportunity to maybe talk a little about that.
Yeah. So I just feel like I have so much to give back to Summits on the Air. I feel like it's given me way more than I've gotten from it. And the more I'm into it, the more I really appreciate the community part of it and how supportive it is. One of my last interviews was with Guy, N7UN, and he really talked about like how SOTA is a great example for what rest of ham radio ought to be, very supportive and inclusive. And I can't agree more with that. So I guess another realization, just when you're running SOTA and Parks on the Air to a lesser degree, because there's so many more, I think, in that, but you see the same call signs again and again, and you can recognize their CW calls and the calls on sideband. And I just think there's a great story behind so many of those. So in an effort to try to get more people involved with Montana, that was my inspiration. So I came up with this idea called Diet SOTA, just a play on words there with trying to keep more diet of Summits on the Air in front of mind, and then just looking at the lighter side of Summits on the Air and ham radio in general.
Yeah, cool. I mean, I'm trying to pull up the last interview. There it is. Let me see if I can get. I don't know if I'm going to be able to bring it up.
Yeah, Guy's video, if you get a chance, he's been around for a while, and he was instrumental in bringing Summits on the Air, being kind of right place, right time, and technical background to be able to build the databases when Summits on the Air kicked off in the late 2000s.
Yeah, cool. Well, so tell me a little bit more about these guys in Montana. What's your community like there?
It's small but mighty, I guess. Helena in particular. The reason I'm in Helena is because of ham radio.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 2020, I was retiring from the military and looking for where to settle down in the middle of COVID. So my wife was able to get a job with the state here, but reason we were applying is I reached out to Rob AE7AP, who has been here for about 25 years, and just said, hey, Rob, how do you like Montana? How's the SOTA? How's the mountains? So Summit's on the air is the reason I ended up moving to Helena.
How about that?
I guess, yeah. So yeah, the community here, our club, Capital City Amateur Radio Club, is very supportive as well. They're always tolerating to, if I get up on a summit and I'm having trouble with HF, there's always people listening on 14652 to be able to get a contact. And then as I've been traveling around with work, I've met a bunch of folks down in Missoula, Bob out in Great Billings. So I don't know if people know, but Montana's pretty big. Like there's
big state.
Hours between cities. So we don't really talk about miles. We talk about how many hours to get from here to there. But yeah, it's not a big, I think it's like 1 million people in the state, just over 1 million people in the whole state of Montana.
Yeah, much more populated than Wyoming. We have 500,000, but that's very cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and get it. I'm going to see if I can try to get some comments in here. It's just me today. Usually I have Dan helping me out, but let me see. I'm going to go through and read some. So we've got today we have Jim N4JAW. I don't know if you see any of his stuff, but he usually posts a bunch of stuff on Twitter, and it's really interesting. So he's in the house. Of course, we have K8MRD. Ham Radio Tube he's on, so thank you. And do you get Jesse much on your contacts and stuff like that when you're on the mountain? This Canadian Rockies Radio Amateur, I just had him on recently. He has a YouTube channel, and he's up just north of you, actually.
Okay.
He's in the Calgary area. So
we probably know some of the same people.
Probably. Yep. And also, let's see, I'm just trying to see here. It's mostly just highs that we're looking at here. Greetings. There's Dick right here. We talked to earlier.
He's got a great point there. I'm sure it's similar to this in Wyoming. Those glacier carved mountains here. A lot of 2-pointers here are worth every point, and then some. So that's why I kind of saved those for the winter bonus points. Yep.
There's a strategy for sure. Here's a question for you already. And I encourage people to put your questions in the chat if you can. What rig are you currently packing, and what's your favorite antenna? Those are great questions.
Yeah. So let's see. I upgraded from the boat anchor in 2014. I bought, or 2015, KX. I got a KX3. Put that together and used that for a bunch of years, and then I was introduced to the Mountaintoppers. So the MTR 3B. I actually someone gifted that to me when I was leaving Colorado. A good friend of mine, and just bought a 4B in the kind of looking at when the bands start to go down. I might try to drag enough wire up for a 80 meter antenna. But,
that's fun.
Those Mountaintoppers that with the 9-volt battery, I've been able to work France, Spain with that from a Mountaintop, and they're just easy, simple, and lightweight. I love them.
Yeah.
And then as far as antenna, I would say probably 80% of my last 100 activations, I've used the SOTA Beams linked dipole for 40, 30, and 20. And then I have a smaller end-fed half wave that I can take. But to be totally honest, I often forget the coax for that. So like I did yesterday. Yeah.
I have done that too. Yeah. Well, now's the time to get on 10 meters too, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And so that end-fed halfway would be the way to go, because it has 10. We should have 10 meters. And does it have 10 meters?
It does. And I actually just bought the kits from SOTA Beams to make my own linked dipoles, because I want to make one for 10 and 15. So, and I'm a friend of mine that I got into ham radio. I'm going to build him as one, or I'm going to help him build his own as well.
That's good. Yeah, I built my antenna, and I built it when it just as probably 2 or 3 years ago, probably, and the cycle was just starting, and I could see that starting to improve, I should say. And so I was kind of looking ahead, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to make this one 10, 17, 20, and 40. And I wish I would have put the other two, 12 and 15 in there.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
I'm afraid to cut it and mess with it, so I'm just going to build it from scratch.
Well, yeah, this is what I'm saying. Is I built that one from scratch that way, and I'm not gonna. I have the same way. I do not like to mess with it after I get it all tuned and everything.
Right.
I don't want to cut anything in.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay. So that's good. You use a Mountaintop or a KX2. Did you say?
KX3. Yeah.
KX3, and then you use a link dipole. I think that's, and then your main bands. Obviously, if you're using a Mountaintopper, then you're doing Morse code 20, 30, 40 when you're using those. So that's good. And then the end-fed half wave, you say you don't use that much. So that's about mine sits in the bag a lot too.
It just folds up really very compact. I got it from a guy in France. He had it on Etsy. I don't think he's still selling them or not, but just a very simple 49-to-1 Vallum, just very small, compact, and it has a built-in winder and everything. So yeah. I would like to get one of those K6ARK. That's where he has the toroid right there on the TNC.
Yeah,
that connect. I'm looking at buying one of those.
Well, it's interesting. Maybe I'll pick you one up. Here, I don't know if you. Let me put it this way: the K6ARK end-fed half-wave antenna, which you said you're interested in getting, has a SMA resistor in there that's really hard to solder, but I'm sure you're capable. But I'm wondering if maybe you want one that's not with an SMA, because Adam just told me yesterday he's going to 4 days in May, Hamvention, which is also 4 days in May is there. And at Hamvention, or in 4 days in May, is really where it is. He's got a new design where he doesn't use the SMA. So it's a lot easier for this antenna to be built. So he just came out with that. So I don't know, maybe you go with that one.
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of expertise with the electronics and soldering and all that?
I dabble. My first supervisor said I worked in electronics in the Air Force, ground-based navigation systems and meteorological systems. So things that help pilots find the runways. So navigation systems like instrument landing systems, VORs, TACANs. So I have a solder iron on the desk, and that first supervisor joked about the bigger the glob, the better the job when it comes to solder, but not with those micro components, I don't think.
No, they're not. Well, you got to get one of those. In fact, I have an extra one lying around. I could probably just send you. That'd be fun to build, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, let's answer this question here. Don N5SKT asks a question to both of us. He says, do you do any 6 meters? And so we'll let you go ahead and answer first.
60 meters, 60 meters.
Yeah, 60. Sorry. Yeah.
Thanks for the question. I've never made a contact on 60 meters.
Okay. It's just because you probably don't have the antenna for starters, right?
Yeah, I don't. Excuse me. I think I've been able to tune it up. I have just a wire antenna in the attic when I first got settled in here in my house. So I've been able to hear a few things, but yeah, never made a contact on that band.
Okay. Well, for me, I have a little bit to say about that. So this has to do with the sun cycle. And so I have not done any 60-meter contacts in probably 2 or 3 years. I haven't been on that band at all. And it's because what we found here in Arizona anyway, is that as the sun cycle moves to the peak, 60 meters is really hard to get contacts on. And so I've just moved away from 60 meters, and I'm more interested in 10 meters and those higher bands. But as the sun cycle starts to dip, and especially when it was at the bottom of the sun cycle, there is a lot of opportunity for 60 meters. And 60 meters oftentimes at the bottom of the sun cycle, or near the bottom, works better than 40 for those NVIS contacts.
Okay.
The ones that are in close. And so usually what happens is near the bottom of the sun cycle, what I'll end up doing is switching to doing only 60 40, 30, and 20. Those are my go-to bands. And so 60 meters is something that probably you could do top or bottom of the sun cycle, but it just seems very effective and something that we found is really useful at that dip of the sun cycle. So I've had a lot of 60 meter contacts. In fact, I've really liked the band, but right now it's not. You can do better with 40. So I don't even.
I guess the on-ramp to that is I haven't spent enough time to really look into it, because I know you have to have it's channelized, so you have to know which one you're on and what you can do on each of those.
Yes, and that kind of discouraged me for many years as far as even getting on there, because there's also a power limit, and I'm just like I don't know, and I don't want to know with 16 meters. But as it turns out,
cheat sheet right next to you the whole time.
Yes, but as it turns out, the radios usually, not all of them, but most radios are already channelized for you, and so you don't have to worry about being off frequency. You get pretty much on the frequency that you like. And also, when you're doing SOTA, especially, you're doing 5 watts, and so there's no worry about being over the power limit. So, so in that particular case, 60 meters is a great option. So, boy, maybe went on too long about that one, but there you go. And there's Malin. We were just talking about you, Malin. Glad you're here. All right. Well, so would you have any goals? You mentioned one goal, which was that you tend to be.
I do have a VE6 SOTA hat. I was gifted at Glacier Hamfest last year. So
that was from Malin, huh?
No. Oh, you're going to put me on the spot.
It doesn't matter who it was from, but it was from that group. I know Malin gave us one down here.
Yeah, he's escaped my name right now. He likes to do caving. He wants to do caves on the air.
I wonder if it's Paul. Well, at any rate,
Ken. Yeah. Malin probably knows him.
Yeah, Malin put his call sign in the chat.
AGR. Thank you.
Yeah, there we go. AGR. VE6 AGR. Ken. Very good. Okay, so anyway, back to, I was going to ask you, do you have any goals other than the one you just mentioned, which was that you want to try to do 1 SOTA activation every month? You try to, and you exceeded that goal last year. But what other goals do you have in as far as ham radio, just generally?
Yeah, I guess. Talking about before the goal to get to GOAT, just to get that thing off my back. That is not the finish line whatsoever. I want to get up to where you guys are, thousands of points in hundreds of activations, and more so as I kick some kids out of the house and they graduate and go out to bigger and better things. Traveling, I don't know. You probably had the same affliction where if you travel anywhere, your eyes are scanning the horizon and like, ooh, wonder if that's a SOTA summit.
Yes.
Or just trying to weave in summits on the air, parks on the air into travel. I think that's just, it's ingrained in me now. So looking forward to getting into many more associations. I would love to get into work some Idaho, Wyoming, Washington, Oregon, like get it down to the W7O camp out one of these years and go spend some time down with those guys and meet some of those folks. So short term, get to GOAT, and I've done a bunch of winter activations. So I think I've got like 165 winter bonus points, which
that's significant. Yeah.
I don't mind the cold. I learned that when I was in Korea. I met an expat there, and he's like, "Hey, let's go out to do this Zulu rollover thing." And I'm like, "What?" So getting outside and hiking in the winter instead of staying indoors, it helps keep me active throughout the year.
Yeah, cool. Malin says there's a hill here, Sweet Grass Hills. He says, "Alan, let's get together and activate them." I don't know what that is. Do you?
I don't, but I got my passport, so let's go.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I noticed on your channel that you've been other places other than just Montana to do activations. What are some of the more exotic places you've been?
Yeah, like I mentioned, so started in Hawaii in 2013. We helped stand up. I guess I just asked the right questions at the right time. I was looking for some kind of adventure with ham radio and heard about the Summits on the Air thing. So I worked with K6EL and N7UN and the management team to stand up Hawaii. And then while I was in Hawaii, I had to go do a 1-year tour to Korea. So I got to do several. I got a call sign. What do they call that? I was able to pick up one based on the FCC call sign that I had.
like the reciprocity agreement or whatever.
Thank you. Yes, that's it. And so that was a lot of fun. Got to go see parts of Korea that I would not have seen otherwise, like most things with SOTA. And then followed on there to Colorado and talk about a playground for summits there, just in Colorado Springs and the whole Front Range there. So I had several years of playing in those mountains. Went to a couple training schools. I think I activated one in Alabama. Tried to do one along in the Appalachian Trail and was shut down, almost partly shut down due to a freak winter storm. You know, they had a glazing of snow and everyone freaked out. Yeah. But then to Utah. So the other side of the Rocky Mountains, got to play radio around there. And then we ended up here in Montana.
Yeah. Good. That's a quite a range of places to do activations, especially some of those foreign countries. Do you find that how different do you think the gear is? Well, that kind of is a piggyback on the question as far as just the SOTA people, the individuals, the community, your interaction socially with people. Is there different philosophies, and then also kind of what gear is there? Is it different in different places, or is it all the same philosophy?
Yeah. The guy I worked with in Korea, he had this really exotic 2-meter antenna. I wish I would have taken pictures of it. It was this huge antenna. It worked good, and he just used a hand talkie, so he was able to work, decent range. But it was a homebrew antenna. I guess
he was an expat, right?
Yeah, he was over there as a teacher.
Yeah,
I believe he's still there 6 years later. So just very smart guy, able to learn the Korean language and do those things, and they really like to tinker with ham radio. So I guess that the other part of the community part, if it opens a lot of doors. So hey, I'm going to be in this area. What's a good easy summit to do, or for access, or hey, do you want to meet up and tell some trail stories? And so that's a part I'm really coming into the fold and loving that part of just getting to meet more people.
Yeah, very good. Cool. All right. Well, so let's talk a little bit about Hawaii then. I wanted to, you said that you were the one that kind of helped stand up the SOTA, what's it called again?
The association?
Association, yes. The association in Hawaii.
I just kind of inherited it. The management team did all the database work, and I'm here to help anybody that wants to get out there. And it's basically a vacation destination. There's a few over there that are active, but it's just, you're limited on the number of summits you can get to. The terrain along that, you can see the mountain range there just east of Honolulu. You're getting up into basically kind of some jungle territory, and very slippery trails, and and some of the areas are off limits due to either military or native Hawaiian issues there. So yeah.
Okay, so this is, we're looking at Oahu and in Honolulu, and so there's this summit right here. It's a pretty popular one. It's called Diamond Head, and I'm assuming you've activated Diamond Head.
Yes.
What are your impressions of Diamond Head as far as activating it? So
I guess the story was told back to me. I had a friend here in the Helena area that was going to Oahu for a fall break family vacation, and he read my blog post that I typed up about it, and I guess I was grumpy about it. He's like, "Man, you really don't like tourists, do you?" Like, I had to reread it. It's very crowded. It's a narrow approach. If you have to stick to the trail. So I was able to find a small little outcrop where some concrete stairs were wide enough for me to kind of set up and not be an impedance to the traffic. So even if you get there early, there's going to be people. And this would be great if, looking back on it, if I had had a sign to explain what the heck I was doing. Sometimes on a busy summit, you need to have, if you don't have somebody there to run interference and explain that you're not talking to the mothership, or, you're just playing ham radio.
Yes. Well, my experience was very similar. I've activated Diamond Head, and it was my first activation in Hawaii, and I didn't know what to expect. I didn't read. I read your blog, your post as well, and I knew that there would be crowded. It would be crowded, and there'd be a lot of people. But in my mind, I'm like, yeah, but I've had summits like that where they're crowded. I'm going to find a place anyway. And yeah, when I got up there, it was like, I was like going around in circles trying, okay, nope, around in circles. And my family was rolling their eyes because they were with me. And I finally set up my my dipole along the stairwell,
Okay.
and tied it to the railing, and I got a lot of questions, but it was definitely very difficult, and I would not do it again unless I had a KH1.
There
Now
you
that
go.
would be the thing to do. If you got a KH1, take it along.
Yeah, you can get it done on 2 beaters as long as you have the repeater for the local ham club there. Some people will jump over to 5.2 to at least help you get those the 4+ contacts. And because you're close to saltwater there, it's not uncommon to be able to work a neighboring island too. So people are listening on 5.2. So as long as you make the announcements, but
cool.
Yeah, the KH1, that would be a much easier deployment of HF gear.
If any radio were made for Diamond Head, that would be the one.
Yeah.
Okay, over here on the, I guess this is the east side of the island, near, what's this park called, and the beach and stuff. What's this area called?
So the little cove down there, if anyone's planning to go to Hawaii, is Hananama Bay, I believe.
Hananama Beach. Yeah,
it's great for snorkeling. And then to the north of there is an old, I don't think it was necessarily artillery, but a lookout. So there's these train tracks that go up there. The tracks have been removed, but the trestle, like the footings, are still there. So people kind of use those as the stairs going up to it.
Oh, it must be the straight line I'm looking at right here.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a workout, but it's definitely doable. It's nothing like, I don't know if you've been to Colorado Springs. They have the incline there. It's like,
I've seen it, but I've never done it.
Yeah, it's not as intense as that, but a great view of the eastern side of the island. And you have, like, again, a little concrete bunker up there you can play ham radio from.
Cool. That concrete bunker sounds fun. This is probably the one I'm going to do. My family's going there soon. And it's Coco Head, and that's the same video I showed you guys earlier about with you had your kids there. It looks like there's plenty of room on that one, right?
Oh, yeah, plenty of room, and it's all a paved park, hiking trail all the way up.
Yeah. For somebody who wants to do SOTA, of the 3, which do you think is the easiest? This one further north is called Makapu'u Head. It looks like more people have done that one. Is that a drive up even? No, it's not.
It's a pretty easy hike, a little bit of an incline. Again, most of it was paved because they do have a lot of tourists over there. I'd say Diamond Head or Makapu'u Head would be the easier of the two. If you're looking for a little more adventure, the option there with the bunker. Actually, the Makapu'u Head has a bunker. It was rusting away when I went there last, so hopefully it's still standing. But you have a better shot to the west coast, I guess, if you think about it. Yeah.
You're
a little less exposed, further away from the mountains.
Right, but is there room up there? Is there more room than there is on Diamond Head, on Makapu'u Head?
Yes. Okay. Yes, a ton.
Okay, good. Then maybe that's, I'm being selfish and trying to figure out which one I'm going to do.
Yeah, the Makapu'u, I guess, Charlie, it's more exposed to the wind because you're trade winds are coming that way. But again, there's some wind shade, some wind protection around that bunker at the top of that.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Okay, so is there anything from the Air Force that helped you to be more effective in summits on the air?
I guess. Well, no.
I mean, you pretty much. What I'm getting at is you're obviously an outdoors person. You enjoy the outdoors, and it seems like you're pretty prepared for whatever, and you don't mind the cold. So where did you get that from? I mean, is you just kind of bucked up and just did it, or and where did you learn all of your outdoor skills? Were you raised in a way that you had those, or did you learn them?
Yeah, I was a feral cat. No, my kid. I grew up in the '80s where mom would yell when the lights came on to come home. So I grew up out in rural Western Washington, and just enjoyed being outside all the time as much as I could. Outside, building forts and climbing trees and figuring out how to get back home when we went too far. I guess, the military, I guess I did take a land nav course before deployment. So can use a compass. I haven't got myself lost yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Just
good.
pretty good with maps, I guess. And using some of the, when I'm not familiar with an area, I'll use Onyx, the app.
Yes.
And I'll just, if I'm going off deviation from where I think I was going to take, I'll drop a pin, where my car is at, that kind of thing. Just make sure I can kind of find my way back.
Okay, cool. Okay, so next question is, have you got anybody involved in Summits on the Air? I think you implied that you did, but you hadn't come right out and said it during the interview. And also, since you have, can you talk a little bit about what you've done to get them involved, so that other people might be able to follow in your footprints?
Yeah. So I think, anyone involved in ham radio, we're walking on the shoulders of a bunch of giants that have kind of paved the way and helped us. So I like to try to give back as much as I can. And I don't try to push it. I don't push ham radio on my kids at all. I think someday they might be interested in it. My dad was a ham. I didn't get into it until 2011. So about 12 years after he passed, but it was always alluring and interesting to me, this thing, why we had a big tower in the backyard. And he was talking to people all over the world, and the QSL cards you'd see come in the mail and that kind of thing. But I think just people have seen some of the fun that I've had with it. And that's the biggest thing, is like, whatever aspect of ham radio you're into, as long as you're having fun and encouraging, just showing people that if they don't have a hobby that gives them that much fun, then maybe to consider it. So I guess another one of my goals is just try to, if I can get one person a year to get into the hobby, I'd consider that a personal success. And I think I've gotten 4 or 5 by accident in the last 2 or 3 years. So I'm sure their significant other hasn't appreciated the adding spending, because it's not a cheap hobby necessarily to get into, but it's a lot of fun.
Where do you find the people that you have got involved? Where have they come from? Where did you meet up with them or interact with them before they got involved in SOTA?
A couple in the military.
Okay.
As I've gotten out and posted more things about life on the outside.
Yeah.
I actually think of 3 that are actively working to get there. Two have, and then one of those was in Colorado Springs. Jared goes by Jay, and I think the best thing you can do in those situations is give a warm handoff to folks. And that's what I try to do. I introduced him to Steve, WG0AT, and a few of the guys down there. And Steve took him out for a first SOTA summit on the Herminator there in Monument.
Oh yeah, yeah, the Herminator. Everybody knows. Yeah,
yeah.
that is. If you don't, Mount Herman is the mountain that Steve, WG0AT, takes everybody out on. It's right in his backyard, and he loves that summit. He goes up there a lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, cool. So I'm in the same philosophy as you. I think that it's important to get people to get involved in Summits on the Air, and that can happen. My efforts usually are on people who are like 2 meter only, have gotten into their technician already, and in the club, we extend an invitation for people to come along with us. By we, I mean me, Dan, and Brian. Or we invite people to come along with us to see what it's like. We set up the gear, tell them don't bring anything, you just bring yourself and some water. And then when we set the gear up, then we just turn it over to them. And oftentimes they're very nervous because they haven't worked a pile up before. But it's usually pretty fun and enjoyable for them, and that's usually how they get the bug. But it sounds like with you, it was you actually got him into ham radio, not just into SOTA, right?
Yeah. The one that I know is in SOTA, and he's working on his general because he sees how much more fun he could have with it. And then second, a coworker of mine that just got his technician license, and he can see he loves the outdoors, and so it's just going to be a natural fit. I love when you can layer hobbies and that fun part. So I love hiking. I love being outdoors, and in ham radio just is a natural blend to that.
Yeah, cool. Well, time's flying. We only have 10 minutes left. That's probably enough time for maybe 2 more questions, maybe 3. So then the next question I have for you has to do with your outdoor advice. So being up in Montana, obviously there's a lot of open spaces, and it's a lot different. It can be a lot different than other places as far as getting in trouble, getting yourself in trouble very quickly. And I mean, obviously there's all kinds of dangers everywhere, but what precautions do you take, and what advice do you give to others who are going out and hiking out in remote areas alone?
Yeah. Take a friend.
That's important.
Yeah, the first and foremost, let people know where you're going. Plan ahead, make sure you know the route, the weather, and you're not shortcutting anything that sometimes I'm looking at my extra supplies that I will throw in a pack, a small medical kit of some sort. If you twist an ankle, are you going to be able to make a impromptu shelter of some sort or something, just to be able to keep you from rapidly declining? I don't want to be meeting any search and rescue people. I respect what they do, but I don't want to meet them on a mountain. So I don't want to ruin their weekend because of some silly thing I've done. And then, APRS, any of those technologies that you can use I know they have different GPS satellite communication systems for kind of beacon systems.
Or Garmin, yeah.
Yeah. So if you're going to be out for sure, I haven't ran into too many bears yet. I've seen some at a far distance, and that's good with me. Yeah. Will carry bear spray and other kinds of bear spray if I'm out there doing that. So that's the biggest thing. Just to let people know where you're going and anticipated time there on summit and back.
Yeah. So. What about route or planning your excursion? What kind of planning do you put in?
That part I probably love as much as getting out there. I love the building. One, just trying to find which summit I want to do next. So access isn't as big an issue here. We have a lot of public lands between National Forest and BLM, and I've actually had some good luck reaching out to people that, private land. I wrote them a letter, basically kind of just a one-page, hey, I'm a hiker. I like ham radio. Can I come on your land and go activate? And that's been successful.
Yeah.
But the whole route planning and trying to figure out how to get there. I love maps, I guess. So I'm a map junkie. I love studying the different routes in the terrain. So
do you just use paper maps though when you're doing your route finding, or do you put a route on your phone, or what do you do?
Yeah, primarily I'm looking at SOTA.AS, just to see what summits and point value that I'm up for, depending on the time of year. And then, like I said before, I'm using the Onyx hunt map though. So that's the primary thing. A little bit of Google Maps.
What do you use to route find then? Do you just have you have it on your phone, the Onyx?
Trying to think like if there's a standard. Most of the time I know it, like I said earlier, a lot of the hills here are pretty steep. So got to go up. So I just kind of just find a path of, there's a lot of the hikes I'm going on don't have trails. So it's a lot of fun to just find the animal trails, to find the way the animals have found the best way of the mountain around the mountains and kind of zigzag up the mountain using their paths. So just finding the ridges, and I know this ridge will connect to that ridge. And so just finding the natural contour to follow up the mountains.
Cool. Sounds like a good deal. Okay. Just want to recognize Zippy here, Richie's Radio Room. He just donated $3. Seems like he comes in every episode with some sort of a donation. Just appreciate you so much for your donation. And I just can't thank you enough, Zippy. Malin says real bushwhacking. Funny story real quick. I in Arizona use the term off trailing and bushwhacking interchangeably. And they are not the same thing. And last time Malin was out with me, he asked about that, and I'm like, yeah, I know. And people have corrected me before, bushwhacking. It's just I just keep spitting out bushwhacking when I mean off trail hiking. And
to me, there's some, like I've been on some summits right outside of Helena here that are like, you have to just find the best route. Through the trees, it was just a maze. And then other times where there's just he may have to have dealt with this too, where, you've had a fire come through and now there's all this deadfall that is just, a big pile of pickup sticks and not a lot of fun to get through. And so that's another style of bushwhacking as well.
Yeah, yep, for sure. And I've done some bushwhacking, but not everything I've done is bushwhacking. So even though I say it is, so
hill walking, yes.
yes. But I will say that I would say probably 80% of our hills or mountains in Arizona are off trail. And there are plenty that are drive ups and on trail, but most of them are off trail too. So, okay, we're down to about 4 minutes. I wanted to ask you, I guess my final question for you would be your plans for your channel. Talk to us a little bit more about what you want to do in the future with your channel and, kind of what your plans are.
Yeah. So I guess the main reason I did any of, I'm doing any of that is just one, to kind of create, to scratch that creative itch. I like to like graphic arts and drawing and that kind of thing. And so that's an outlet, making videos is one way to do that. So I just enjoy doing that. And the second part of that, I just enjoy sharing the outdoors. Montana's got some great views that not everyone can get to. So if I can help somebody live vicariously, if they're just a soul chaser, but they want to see what we're doing out here on being crazy, hiking solo up a mountain, happy to share those. And like I said, most of it's, I just like to share that. But as I've talked about the community part, the Diet SOTA thing is really to try to put some names behind the call signs and tell a little bit about their story. So upcoming, I've got, I don't know if you've had them on your channel or not, but Gary and Martha, W0MNA and W0ERI, who, if anyone hasn't looked on the chaser points, Gary's got 263,000 chaser points. Yeah. And Martha's not too far behind him at 221,000. So I got a chance to meet them because they have some family up in Helena here. I've been up here a couple of times, so I'm really looking forward to having them. And then after that, I'll have Matt K0MOS on for another Diet SOTA episode.
Okay, very good. I'm glad to hear that. So first of all, regarding Gary and Martha, I'm so happy to hear that they've agreed to come on the show with you. They were very early on in my interviewing of this show. They agreed to come on. They're very generous in that, and so I'm looking forward. I want to see what different things I can learn from them when you interview them. So I'm looking forward to that interview. I'll go ahead and see if I can get on when you guys do that one. And for those of you who are wondering, that's the you call it Diet SOTA, right?
Yes.
And so that's your show. Yeah,
I have that on. So the video, along with some photos of people on my YouTube channel, and then I also put that on Spotify and SoundCloud.
Good. And then your next guest, I don't think I've had MOS on my show. So like I told you offline, it's not a competition. So you know what? It's good. I mean, the interviews go so different every time anyway. I've had some guests on like 3 times now. Like I think Howard Bernstein from Long Island CW Club. I think he's been my guest 3 times. Every single time has been completely different and unique. And so it's not a problem that we share our guests at all. So I might have to steal MOS from you if you'll come on. Cool.
Very good.
So go ahead and make sure you guys who are listening to this, make sure you subscribe. What's the best way to find your channel, your YouTube channel?
KH7AL. I think it's at KH7AL Blogspot, because I just kind of carried the name over from my blog that I created. And that's how I kind of got into that, is just trying to make some trail stories and reports for folks when I was in Colorado Springs, and posting those on all the SOTA databases for people to be able to use those and get to summits and parking lots and that kind of thing a little bit easier. But yeah, okay. I'm out there.
Good. Very good. So a couple more comments came in just as we were talking. The Traveling Ham says, creative itch. I feel you, brother.
Right on.
Yeah, I do too. And then I don't know if you guys who've been watching the show or know about me. William Direction is what he goes by on YouTube. But his name is Ian, and I've just kind of built a relationship with him, even though I've never met the guy. He's from Australia, and we made just a very unique contact on Morse code several years ago. And just after that contact, we just kind of been back and forth, emailing back and forth. In fact, I have his email his last response to my email in my inbox. I've been postponing, putting off. I need to reply to him, but it's been a couple months since I've replied to him. But it's just another example of what SOTA does. Ian is a good friend, even though he's in Australia and I've never met him. And then we've got Sue, who's very late. She says she's kind of late, but Chuck and Sue, glad you're here. We're just wrapping it up now. So, all right. Thank you so much, Alan, for joining me. It's been a really good interview, and it's been a pleasure to meet you and get to know you a little better.
Thanks, Charlie, so much. I appreciate it. And thanks to all the chasers out there. Hope to catch you in the log very again soon.
Okay.
Can't wait for it.
See you, everybody.
See ya.